What's going on, people? This is your boy Say One History, along with my brother from another mother, Michael Beavers, and you are watching American UFO Society. And man, I just want to let you guys know we told you so. We told you so. We knew it was coming, and you know, to all those regular people out there, and look, I'm putting it in the air, all those regular people out there. On behalf of the UFO community, we are requesting a formal apology from all those normal people. Mike, man, I mean, can you tell the people what we're talking about? If they're living under a rock, if they don't know what we're talking about,
this is it, man. They're coming towards disclosure for us, and they've mentioned that they have these craft parts that weren't made by human hands. And they're really hinting at possibly, you know, really letting us know some good information about these UFOs and otherworldly beings.
Off-world, they're saying. And I just find it extremely funny how, again, and I'm ranting, but for years, I mean years, they were telling us, oh, you guys are crazy. It's weather balloons, swamp gas. You guys got tinfoil hats on, you know, all these credible UFO sightings, all of these pictures, and granted, a lot of them are Photoshop. We even went over some of the Photoshop UFO videos and pictures and everything here. But I mean, let's just go ahead and look back before the digital camera, okay? Let's call that the golden age of ufology, because there was no faking back then.
Oh, yeah.
You could not
Everything's
fake,
legitimate.
right? You couldn't fake a UFO footage. You know, and for you to get credible video, credible footage, credible eyewitnesses, people from the military, people from the aviation industry, you know, technicians, just all these credible people, you know, coming out with this stuff, and for the government to still come up and tell us, no, this is fake, and don't believe your lying eyes. This is not real. We are telling you the truth. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna gloat, because, you know, I feel like I've been traumatized and I need to be compensated for it.
If you or a loved one have been victimized by government cover-ups, please contact us at 1-800. I need my money now.
Right. Right? I mean, come on, man. But let's talk about this, though, because, you know, like we said, this is something that we've been talking about. I've actually done a couple of videos in regards to it here. But before we go into that, because I had actually mentioned the metamaterial and everything, I want to show you a clip if you guys haven't saw it, because I know this news is recent. I also want to tell you a story that I kind of told Mike earlier today. If you guys don't know, I actually do a second job, you know, outside of my regular job, where I'm driving and whatnot. And I had no clue that, you know, this information that came out, you know, because I'm trying to make extra money for, you know, a few things that are, you know, going on personal within my life, my family and whatnot. And, you know, the guy that I was driving was like, you know, they came out and said UFOs are real, or they found material. I'm like, no way. Get out of here.
I would have sent you these articles if I didn't think you had already seen them 100 times, because I'd seen them everywhere. And I was like, oh man, I know Rodney's going to message me about this soon. But I assumed you, otherwise I would have blown your message with them 100 times over if I didn't know you hadn't seen it yet.
You know, well, again, we already knew about the metamaterial because we had, you know, been looking at stuff like that. You know, we had already knew about Luis Elizondo and what's the guy's name from Blink 182?
Tom DeLonge.
We already knew about Tom DeLonge, but and we already knew that the government had came out and said that the footage was real. But what I didn't know is that they had just recently came out and said that they actually have material. I didn't know that they were actually admitting that they have material. We know they have material. I know they have material. Mike knows they have material, but the rest of the world, the normal world, did not know that. It is just it's very typical of the average viewers, or the people who still watch, what do they call it? Not primetime news. What do they call it? Mainstream news. That they don't watch anything but mainstream news. They don't watch any alternative news. So nothing is real to them until they actually hear it on Fox News or CNN. So, for those people, they had no clue that this stuff was going on. They had no clue that there was metamaterial. They had no clue that there was off-world vehicles. They had no clue that there was another element that Bob Lazar told us about 20 freaking years ago.
151.
That, element, I can't remember the name of it.
I think it's 151 or 115.
Element 115, I believe.
115,
yes.
yeah. 51 area 51, Bob Lazar.
Right.
Goes together.
They had no clue. And all of this is redundant to you guys. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize for going over this stuff that you know. But again, this is actually for the layman's, the people who don't know about this stuff. We told you so. We knew about it, and we want our bones for it. But with that being said, I'm going to actually play this footage. This is actually coming from The Rising. If you don't watch that, really good news channel. I want you to check this out and just give you some content on everything that we basically been telling you, but we want it to actually come from the mainstream, since that's the only thing you listen to. Check it out. We'll be back in a second.
Some breaking and potentially explosive news today, which is that the UFOs Commission, basically within the Pentagon, will be giving some findings and reportings to the Senate Intelligence Committee. This unit is inside the Office of Naval Intelligence. Now, Senator Marco Rubio saying that it's important for the public in order to find out more. But the real bombshell here is actually an interview in the New York Times by a man named Eric Davis. He's an astrophysicist who worked on the subcontractor and a consultant for that program since 2007. Now, Mr. Davis had this to say. He now works for Aerospace Corporation. He said he gave a classified briefing to the Defense Department agency as recently as March about retrievals from, quote, off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. So,
what?
There you go.
That is crazy.
He said he gave classified briefings on retrieval of these unexplained objects to staff members of the Senate Armed Services Committee on October 21st, 2019, and to staff members of the Senate Intelligence Committee 2 days later. So we are going to need to see the transcript of those documents, and I'm going to call for Marco Rubio in order to release all of that.
We need full transparency here.
Yeah,
the people need to know.
Absolute full transparency. But this is a bombshell accusation. And as far as I can understand, this is the first revelation about the most recent testimony given to the Senate Intelligence Committee regarding this matter ever since the story was broken open in the Times back in 2017.
Right. Well, and you recall this all came from, you had a number of military pilots who were seeing these unexplained objects
and all that.
And they're, we've all seen the videos. Yeah, the way that they move was so inexplicable. They actually had to set up a system so that pilots could report these incidents. They do say in the New York Times that some of the fragments of material that were called into question as potentially off-world, as that one defense contractor put it, had been tested and found to be man-made. So there are certainly potentially earthly explanations
military
for what is going on here. Yeah, I mean, that's the most likely thing if it's of man-made origin, but pretty wild development.
Huge development. I actually encourage everybody to go read Annie Jacobson's book. She was on Joe Rogan's podcast as well. She talked about this. She has a pretty wild theory about, well, not theory, she claims it's confirmed, I don't know, about the UFO sightings in the 1940s and about how it was really like a Russian military program.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Surgeries and all this other stuff. So again, I don't know. Like, who knows what the truth is here and what exactly is going on, but that nobody was giving this nearly enough attention. Off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. And he testified that I don't know if he was under oath or not, but it was a classified briefing to the Senate Armed Services Committee, to the Senate Intelligence Committee. And the one good thing about our government is that they write everything down, and I want to know exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Exactly what he said.
Well, you know, and Senator Reid, who was one of former Senator Harry Reid, of course, has been one of the sort of primary movers and shakers on bringing some of this stuff to light. And he very much is of the belief that there have been off-world vehicles here.
He actually gave this quote again to the Times here. After looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some substantive, some not so substantive. There were actual materials that the government and private sector had in their possession. This is in reference to the crashes of objects of unknown origin, which may have occurred, and materials which have been studied, some of which could be off-world. So there we go, folks.
We will definitely keep you updated on this one, and we'll have more rising for you after this.
Okay, so Mike, I'm sorry, man. I'm a little butthurt because I'm a little butthurt, man. I'm a little hurt because I'm reading the comments here as we're actually playing this footage, and even though we have documentation showing that someone had briefed the U.S. government on off-world vehicles, you still get comments like, meaning it hasn't been confirmed yet. It's no big deal.
Skeptics, man.
Shut up.
So I will.
You're killing me.
I will say one thing. I'm a little weary of what they're actually going to give us as far as information goes. Now, as long as they can tell me that they have something that's not human-made, that's not from this earth, right, I'm completely cool with that for a start. But there's two reasons why I don't think we're going to get too much other than, yeah, we got something weird. And that's because, one, I believe this could be a move to try to grab more funding for the UFO program and stuff like that, and for their team. Because how else are you going to get more funding unless the public supports what you're doing and what you're trying to do? So then also, Unidentified Season 2 just came out on History Channel, which is the show that was all about the Nimitz and everything like that, which is what what a lot of the disclosure stuff is talking about. And I just find it weird that it all kind of came together at once. And I feel like it could be a grab to try to get some funding and things like that. But if they release anything, I'm totally happy with it because it's 100% proof. And they've already hinted at that thing, the craft parts that they have. That was already hinted at years ago. So for somebody to come out now and say they're basically almost ready to fully disclose it to us, as in like put it in a court of law and say, hey, this is what really happened. That'll be a big win for everybody in the UFO community. Absolutely. And three things I want to touch on, and hopefully I can remember all of this because I'm getting older. One, they're drip feeding us. They're giving us disclosure in phases. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually a phase of disclosure. Like Mike said, they're not going to give us all of the information because that would be too much, and we can't handle it, for one. And 2020 has already been too wild. We can't get full full alien disclosure. I don't even know what would happen. Yeah, they can't drop that on us, so no, we're not going to get it. I don't believe America would be out of toilet paper for the next 3 years. Right? I mean, if you guys were thinking it was hard to get toilet paper then, oh my God, it would be horrible. But the other thing too is that, and I got to give credit where credit is due, my good friend of mine in the UFO community, Tim Dust, or actually UFO Man, as some of you guys know him, he actually just recently did a live video on this topic here, speaking in reference to a theory that he had, and I thought it was interesting. It was something that I thought of before but really never expressed live, and I just want to give you shouts out again, Tim, for mentioning it here because I thought it was cool. When they're saying off-world, you got to remember that we're dealing with the government, and they use words very carefully. Now, keep in mind, I actually work for the government. I'm not going to tell you which part I work for. You freaks, come on, I'm not going to tell you my job. But again, I work for a part of the government, and I actually deal with writing up memos and drafts or whatever, and we go back and forth, people reading these drafts that we actually write. It's irritating. It's like being in high school and actually seeing that red highlight marker on your page
you know, because there were corrections that need to be. That's what the government is like when you're actually writing these memos, because there has to be specific words and there has to be words that need to be taken out here. And anybody that works in the government in this particular section knows what I'm talking about here. So they're very methodical about the words they put in. And I say this because they said off-world vehicles. Now, what does that mean? It could mean that there are off-world vehicles and they are coming from extraterrestrial origin. Or it could mean off-world vehicles, meaning that it was made in the vacuum of space by humans. Okay. So again, shout out to my boy Tim Dust for bringing that up. That is definitely something that they could be talking about. And when they actually bring this information to our attention, you know, we're all expecting alien ETVs, and they're like, oh, no, we made it. We just made it in space. No big deal.
That's gonna break my heart. If all this comes down to that, oh man, that's gonna hurt.
Wouldn't that be horrible?
It's cool and all, but that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
You know, it's like you're dating a girl, and then you get to second base, and she's like, I'm gonna give you some. Never.
ever.
Never.
You're right there. You're right there. You're almost there.
Like, what do you mean? You said you were just gonna give me some. Yes, but never. What? Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It seems like they, as much as is already out there that people like us know is actually, you know, a real thing and true. It seems like now would be the decent time to kind of start letting people know, hey, okay, you're not crazy. There is a chance there's aliens out here, and we may or may not have some pretty crazy things that we've retrieved that we believe are from UFOs. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be a good time now to kind of let people know what's going on. At least a gist of it. Give us a taste, something.
I definitely agree, man. I personally agree that, you know, we're all adults and we can handle this information. You know, but then I go back to the beginning of the coronavirus, and I remember everybody bought up the toilet paper and didn't leave any for me. So
that is a worry. I know that's probably a big problem of theirs, because then once that happens, how people are going to be panicked. How do we know when the aliens are coming? How do we know if they're coming? What are we going to do if they come? And there'll have to be so many laws passed and things like that. So that could be a big reason why they're not going to 100% disclose things to us all the way. But I think they're hinting at definitely letting it know. I mean, we have a Space Force now, so we have a military operation in space. We have the International Space Station. I mean, we're out there. We're well on our way to traveling to another planet and actually being able to get down there and check stuff out. So yeah. I think it's 100% possible aliens could be checking us out already.
And I think they're absolutely checking us out. We're just too dumb to know that they're actually doing it. So two things I want to actually mention, two videos that I made. If you guys are actually subscribed to the Awaken Show, or if you're not, definitely make sure that you go and do that. Check out two videos. One, I want you to check out Final Disclosure Phases. That actually speaks in regards to the phases that they're actually bringing us in here with these UFOs and all these different events here. It talks about how they're preparing the firefighters and the police officers for a UFO attack. They're preparing all kinds of different equipment for us to be able to protect our assets in space against and this is actually in the documentation of the report, to protect our assets in space from people from Earth or beyond. That's not my quote, that's theirs.
I believe, don't we have isn't there a military thing that was set up back in the 50s that was for in case of an unearthly invasion, basically, that if aliens ever attack, this is what the protocol would be. I think it was a Majestic 12 document, so it hasn't been 100% proven, but it seems very fitting. But it was basically a what to if aliens were here. I think it said something about already having extraterrestrial officers on Earth. It was a pretty wild thing.
Yeah. You're talking about the is it 20 and back?
I don't remember. I want to say it had something to do with Majestic 12, though.
I think you're talking about it's 20 and back, where they actually pick military personnel that are like really high level, top class. I mean, the cream of the crop here, and they tell them that they're going to go on a special mission, and they ship them out in space, pretty much, and basically have them doing these missions with these other entities or these other beings from outer space, and then they, after 20 years of service in outer orbit, they send them back with their memories erased. And it's almost like they're, I know this is really far-fetched, you guys, believe me, I understand it. They send them back, and there's some kind of thing where, you know, they don't lose their youth. It's almost like they're time traveling, and they take them back in time, and it's like they never left.
Okay, so while I don't think that's the same thing I'm talking about, I will point out one thing, because you just reminded me of something, and it's kind of scary. But you know about Project Bluebeam, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So coming to disclosure drip by drip very well would be the perfect setup for Project Bluebeam, for them to use mass hysteria with a hologram of a giant UFO, or actually building a giant UFO and having it come float over something and pretend it to be aliens to use some kind of power grab or something. I was reading something the other day about it, and I was like, oh man, that would be definitely not ideal. But it's
yeah, that's from the Nazi von Braun.
Yeah, Project Bluebeam.
Warner von Braun or something. He actually has it on his tombstone. If you go to his tombstone, he talks about how they're going to fake an alien invasion and stuff. And you know, you guys, again, just for the record, if there are aliens out there and they're watching us, they don't have to attack us, you guys. All they have to do is drop a virus from the sky.
That's it.
And it's over. They have to do, I mean, look at everyone saying that there's going to be a big World War III. And if you think that's the case and we're going to be dropping nuclear bombs and whatnot, I highly doubt that's going to be the case. It's going to be a technological, it's going to be a financial war, it is going to be a cyber war, and it could potentially be a space war.
I mean, look at what they're talking about on Fox with the satellites that are being, they believe satellites by Russia are being weaponized, and the general on there flat out said that they watched a Russian satellite launch a projectile from it, and it could be used to knock out other satellites. That could knock out our entire internet, entire, you know, phones, everything, black us out, and who knows what that could lead to. So that's pretty scary knowing
we
that
actually
stuff like that out there
have
already.
satellites right now that actually have lasers and military weapon or great weapons on them. We actually are able to, and I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this, but again, this is just a dumb person's theory. I don't know what I'm talking about, you guys, so don't listen to me.
Don't take this seriously.
Don't take this seriously. Anybody watching out there, I have no inside information. I only been in the military for anyway. Wink. I don't know shit. You know, but you know, we have dump bases, deep underground military bases. You know, they are stationed out in different points in the United States and beyond. We actually have one, I believe it is in, I can't think of the name. I'll actually have to look it up here. I don't want to misquote myself.
The super underground one?
Right, yeah. I have to look that one up. Is it Colorado? I thought
Colorado.
It was, but I didn't want to say. I wasn't for sure.
It's Colorado.
And it's like a mile underground. And you can look this up. They've already had attacks on that site. But from who?
Now that I didn't know.
From who? I've actually done a video on that, so you guys got to actually check it out. That video is actually called...
Man, if I'm sleeping on you, I know everybody else is. We need to have a group watch party.
It's called the 1975 Cheyenne military base UFO case. And what happened is it went on high alert, the highest alert a military base can be on, level 5. And these gentlemen were actually out on leave camping. And they were in camp. They happened to actually see these things fly over the sky. They were close enough to actually hear the military base sirens. They're so loud you can hear the sirens. It took them about an hour to get back to the base. The base told them, after they checked in and showed their military ID and stuff, they told them all hands on deck. They were required to go back to their sector, their unit, wherever they were at. And they didn't come off high alert until the morning. The military actually covered it up, told them not to say anything. There was nothing going on. One of the guys, he's like an FAA guy. He actually checks all the stuff in the sky. He said that they actually tracked UFOs for almost an hour that night. But none of this got put on record. We would have never knew about it if it wasn't for one of the guys that went camping actually called into a radio station and told them about it. That's the only reason we know about it till this day. And that's actually the 1975 Cheyenne military UFO case. But with that being, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, and I mean, just to give that story some credit, even if they don't have the footage of the radar or the UFO itself, look at the Nimitz. It was picked up on underwater radar and above ground radar and chased by a plane. And look at all the other times people have said that they witnessed radar anomalies that were flying saucer shaped, triangle shaped, and all the other radar anomalies. So it just kind of goes to give that one some credit too.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are hearing about the Nimitz report and hearing that, they're finally coming out and actually saying, hey, we are going to give the pilots access to say or file a report if they actually see things like this. But what people are not talking about is the underwater fast movers, the UAPs. And that's actually a thing that's going on right now with our naval sector of the military here. And it's actually going on with the submarines. And I forgot what video it is, but if you go on YouTube, you can find it. There was a gentleman, he's a reporter, who actually got access to go on one of these submarines and actually see them tracking these fast movers. Now, these are things that are moving at 100 knots, moving at 200 knots. We have nothing like that on this earth that can move that fast underwater. They call them fast movers. So if you guys haven't heard about that, I would absolutely recommend that you check it out here, because this is happening underwater. It's happening in our space. It's happening outer space. It's just, you can't deny it anymore. I thought it was interesting. Well, let me not use interesting. I thought it was undeniable when they used the analogy of, they said there are so many Earth, how did they say it? Let me make sure I'm saying this correct. They said,
is this the Drake equation?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
He said there are so many Earth-like planets out there. He said there are more habitable planets in just our galaxy than there are grains of sand in all of Earth. Now think about that for a minute. They first off, they didn't say there's more planets. Forget more about Earth, the planets that are not habitable.
Yeah, we already know about. I couldn't even tell you how many at least 500,000, maybe more planets that we've already looked at through telescopes and things like that. But it's the Earth ones that count.
Right, and he said there are more Earth-like planets out there than there are grains of sand on this Earth. Come on, man. I mean,
mathematically, it'd be impossible for us to be the only planet with life on it. With the numbers, just our estimates of space, there should be at least a few 100,000 Earths just chilling out there, and probably way more. But just if you wanted to even do a rough estimate, you could easily say a few 100,000 Earths and be comfortable with definitely not being under the amount.
They said the number is so big that it's unfathomable. I can't even say the word.
I think that's right. Unfathomable.
To the human psyche. We can't even understand. It's like it's past billions and
thinking
past
about
trillions.
What's past space. You just can't think about it because nobody knows. It's one of those unthinkable things.
It's crazy. So I want to go ahead and play the second video for you, because this is actually a video that I made. So forgive me if I'm actually talking in the background, but this is in regards to the metamaterial, and it focuses on Luis Elizondo and Tom DeLonge actually not only giving us information about the metamaterial, not actually just saying that they have the metamaterial, not actually just showing us that they have the metamaterial, but also telling us that it's going to come out soon and the government is going to disclose this. Oh, and by the way, I actually done this video almost a year ago. So, yeah. So anyway,
now you know.
Now you know. You guys need to catch up. We're getting tired of, filling you in here. But let me see if I can get this video started. And I can't. I can't. Hold on. Yep. Technical difficulties. But only for a second, you guys. I mean, calm down. No big
So while you do this, I will give everybody a fun little story. So I was actually watching Ancient Aliens just the other night, and I love watching that show at nighttime. And they had the episode where this old farmer had. Now his story is a little crazy, but he does have something behind it that backs it up. But basically, that a UFO landed on his land, and a short 3-foot being came out of it, and basically gestured to him that he was thirsty. And the farmer, I can't remember his exact name, but you can look up the story because there's some evidence behind it I'm about to talk about. And he said he gave the being this water, and the being gave to him what looked like was food, like a wafer almost. And I promise, I know it sounds really crazy, but this man, he reported this after it happened and everything. And this was old, I mean, black and white days. There's a video of him actually talking, a full interview with him. And he gets the chip. It goes and gets tested through all the Food and Drug Administration agencies and stuff. And it came back that it had 0 salt trace whatsoever. And the weirdest thing about that is it was a cracker. It was a genetically modified cracker. And what it was it had, I promise you can, and this is a factual thing, you can actually look at it. I don't know if he really gave aliens a glass of water or anything. I can't verify that. But I can verify that this man had a chip, like a potato chip with holes in it, that was tested, and it had 0 salt trace in it whatsoever. And the weird part about that is everything on this earth, including your countertops, your soda bottles, your headphones, it all has some molecule of salt in it because of basically the way the earth was made. Our bodies are full of water. Everything we use has some sort of base of water that all started from the ocean. So there's, no matter anything you do, it's got some molecule of salt in it, sodium chloride. So for this chip to not have any whatsoever was unseen before. It's almost basically impossible. Any of our food has water in it, some sort of moisture or water, and that moisture or water is going to have some trace of salt. Even if your label says 0% sodium chloride, it's still going to have some trace amount of salt in it that can be detected through a machine, or I forget what the mass spectrometer type deal. It can be detected, and this chip had no salt in it whatsoever, 0 traces of it. And so it kind of gave it some credit that maybe this man did somehow just get a potato chip from space. And as crazy as that sounds, because the guy's story it's a little wild, but you see him telling it in black and white, and this is the old times. And I imagine in the old times, if you talked about aliens, you're going to get looked at like you're out of your mind. So for him to come out and say all of it, I don't know if he added on some flair to the story by saying he got this alien water. But I don't know how else he would end up with an alien potato chip to begin with. So it's a weird story, but the chip is real. I want to say it's in a museum now, but it was fully tested, 0 salt. So the evidence part of it is real. I don't know about the guy's story, but the evidence part of it is real. And that just makes me think, like, man, if somebody can get a hold of a space potato chip, I can imagine our military has some stuff from, extraterrestrial beings and crafts and things of that nature.
Well, it's funny you mention that because you kind of remind me, or made me think of the Clarion report, which is the slender, pale aliens that came down and actually took a man from the beachfront of the ocean and actually told him, that we have objects and materials that look like TVs, but they're not, and we communicate through telepathy. And they told him that there is a society and a panel that actually decides whether or not different groups and beings can actually basically travel outside of their planet into, you know, deep orbit space or whatnot.
Like a space congregation.
Yeah, and that we weren't able to do it because we are still killing people on the Earth. And they say
I have heard that before. I'm familiar with the story you're talking about. It sounds really familiar.
Yeah, and they told him it would be unconscionable to let humans go out there and basically roam the space, because there are civilizations out there right now that have no concept, have no understanding whatsoever of war, you know. So yeah, I mean, we're shitbags.
They would hate the Earth then.
Yeah, we're shitbags.
They would not be ready for that. We're the ghetto of the galaxy.
Right. I was just gonna say we're the trash of the galaxy. Nobody wants to be our friends. You know, somebody gives us a space cracker and we stab them in the back. You know, so it's just, you know, we got to do better, you guys. But let me go ahead and actually play this video. And this is actually from the Awakened Show, by the way. I'm plugging my own self, so shameless mentions. Check it out and subscribe.
Over UFO.
Yeah, UFOs over UFO
Corona.
too.
Corona.
My bad, we're a little sick over here. Check us out. American UFO. Anyway, check us out, man. Here we go. Play this. We're gonna play this video, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
At 11.
A global scramble is underway to identify and perhaps replicate unidentified mystery material that's been collected in multiple sites around the world.
A few of the samples have defied analysis by leading scientists who say they don't know how the material was engineered or why or by whom. Now, some of this meta material was allegedly collected in connection with UFO incidents, which gives the whole endeavor another worldly glow. The I-Team's George Knapp has the story and the Las Vegas connection.
A whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
For years, the Pentagon secretly studied the seemingly impossible abilities of unknown craft captured in these military videos. Scientists now want to know if the materials used in these mystery aircraft allow them to do what they do. For years, one of the secret studies was carried out by BASS, the Las Vegas operation hidden within Bigelow Aerospace. Documents first reported by the I-Team show that BASS landed a contract with the DIA, and one of the objectives was to study so-called metamaterials, as well as futuristic technologies.
It was a multi-layered bismuth and magnesium sample. Bismuth layers less than a human hair. Magnesium samples about 10 times the size of a human hair. Supposedly picked up in the crash retrieval of an advanced aerospace vehicle. Looks like it's been in a crash.
In Las Vegas back in June, physicist Hal Puthoff came pretty close to saying that this weird wedge of metamaterial came from a crashed saucer, but he can't know for sure. Puthoff and his colleague Dr. Eric Davis are on the cutting edge of attempts to identify an assortment of bits and pieces that are seemingly beyond anything we can create. This one sample is engineered in layers thinner than microns through a process unknown on Earth and for a purpose we can only guess.
Nowhere could we find any evidence that anybody ever made one of these. When we talked to people who, in the materials field, who should know, they said, we don't know why anybody would want to make anything like this.
Astrophysicist Dr. Jacques Vallée has been analyzing mystery metals since the 80s, often using the technical expertise of Stanford University and Silicon Valley to unravel unknown samples acquired from all over the world. Vallée pointedly steers clear of any military funding, and he shared his findings at public conferences.
We have multiple samples now from multiple sources, ranging a wide variety of integrity.
These days, former intelligence officer Lou Elizondo helps to collect and protect unknown chunks for the To the Stars Academy. Before that, he ran ATIP, the Pentagon's secret UFO study, the same one which released the now famous videos. This summer, To the Stars launched ATOM, its own effort to find and study pieces of material that may have been stashed away for decades after being retrieved from the sites of close encounters. Elizondo says there are legitimate reasons why the military and now private groups are in a race to figure out these materials.
What our internal efforts are to potentially, I'm not saying we're doing this, maybe replicate that technology, or to reverse engineer that technology, right? Now you're getting into some sensitivities that you don't necessarily want everybody to be privy to.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
By the way, when the New York Times broke its story last year about the Pentagon's UFO study, it reported that a sample of mystery material was secretly stored at Bigelow Aerospace. Managers of that program told the I-Team that while they're familiar with some of the metamaterial samples, none were ever stashed here in Las Vegas. If you would like...
Hey, what's going on? I gotta wait for my mic to come back on. None were ever stashed in Las Vegas.
That was a little strange. Just so you know, they're not here.
Right. They're not here. Don't come looking.
Don't storm Area 51.
Area 51.
Man, but I mean, that guy, he really hints. He doesn't even hint at it. He basically tells you he has it and that it's real, but that he can't officially tell you it's governmentally real. Like, he's saying, we got these metals and we think they're from aliens and we want to reverse engineer them and we want to figure out what they are, but officially there's nothing here.
You know, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. It's just funny how they say it, but he's literally disclosing it to us as it is, but he's just not in the court of law. And some people, just like you said, that only watch mainstream media, things like that, they won't accept it until Fox or CNN drops it and says, bombshell, breaking news, aliens are real.
Right. And to them, we're all still wearing tinfoil hats and we're crazy. Yep. By the way, let's take a quick little intermission and give shouts out to everybody that's watching here. So shouts out to Sam Tudor. I hope I'm saying that right. Shouts out to the friend, the homie, Pamela Woolwine. We appreciate you watching. Arturo Kalo, what's going on?
You definitely said that better than me, because I wanted to give a shout out, but I didn't know how to pronounce his name right, and I knew I would butcher it, but I think you might have nailed it.
I hope I did, man. I don't want to get any nasty grams here after we're done with the show.
He might be our next contestant on Ufology Jeopardy.
Thank you, man. Shoot, great segue, because after the show, I know it's a little late here. It's 10:18 over on the West Coast. So I know it's got to be late for everybody else. I know some people are even watching us from other countries. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. But if you guys are interested in playing the Ufology Jeopardy game, definitely hang on until the show, because we're jumping right into the Ufology game. Now, I have to tell you, Mike is the reigning champion. Okay? He is the reigning champion. Although I will say, he had me worried. You had me worried, Mike. But
look, I was playing my own brother. You know he's heard me talking before.
Okay.
So he got my answers, and I picked all the hard questions first.
But I got to give it to you. In the end, you pulled through, and you pulled through strong. I think you were up like a couple of 500 points or something like that. So
yeah, I caught like 3 in a row that were crucial to the win.
Right. So yeah, definitely gotta give them for pulling it right at crunch time here, man. That was awesome. But another thing, by the way, if you want to join, leave a comment in the group or leave a message, because again, like I said, we're looking for contestants right now. So we're going to be reviewing your messages, and if you join, then you join, we get in. If you do not, then it's going to be very difficult for us to actually go ahead and get somebody in. Hello.
Rodney says hello. I have headphones on.
Say hello to everyone. We're all watching.
You're live. She's like, I'm going to hide.
That's just like my girlfriend Chanel. She runs anytime the camera is on, man. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand. She sees me, and she'll be in the corner where nobody can see her. She goes, "Are you live?" And I'm like, "Yes."
I have an irrational fear that I'm gonna like use the bathroom while on live stream or something and forget that I'm recording, or just anything. By the way, this is what an awesome, amazing girlfriend looks like.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, shout out Shannon. But yeah, no. So like that, I don't know why, but I always have this irrational fear that like when I turn off the phone or something, it's still gonna record me on live, and I'm gonna do something weird or something like that. I don't know why, but I think about it all the time.
I've done that before. I've done it before. You know,
I've definitely heard you eating behind the mic, but I don't think I've heard you doing anything weird.
I've done it before for sure. But another thing I wanted to actually mention to everyone is, man, all of this stuff that we're talking about and more, it's tied together. And if you're not really paying attention, or you haven't been watching this stuff for years and years and years, then you're not going to pick up on the subtle clues that they're giving you. Because, man, I mean, they are dropping gems. They were naming names. And if you don't know about Robert Bigelow,
that's my man.
If you don't know about Robert Bigelow,
Skinwalker Ranch, the type of stuff that guy's connected with and into, I would love to just be able to pick his brain for an hour, and I feel like that would satisfy my need for UFO once.
Right. There's so much stuff going on with Skinwalker Ranch. Robert Bigelow is so what do you know the company he owns? Is it Aerojet or Aerospace?
Bigelow Aerospace.
Bigelow
He's
Aerospace.
not the current owner of Skinwalker Ranch anymore. While he was the owner of it, and it was also contracted through the military. He was the owner of it for about 10 years for research purposes.
And keep in mind too, by the way, and I hate to cut you off, Mike, but I want to mention this really quick here. Keep in mind that the new trick of the day, or of the age right now, is for the military to contract private companies. And the reason they hire private companies is because through the Information Act, any of us can actually disclose what they're doing with our money, what they're doing with our resources here, and they have to give it to us. But if they contract it through a private company, we cannot ask for that information. It's a private company. They don't have to give us jack, but they still report to the government. So that is the new way of hiding information from the public, hiding information from the people. But it just so happens that Robert Bigelow, or Bob Bigelow, whichever you want to call him. I never understood why people did that. My name is Rob, but you can call me Bob. I always thought that was weird. But Rob is one of us. Rob is a UFO believer. He's full disclosure. I mean, you have to watch his videos.
There's interviews with him where he talks about it. He really talks about it.
If I had to describe Robert Bigelow as an animal, in ferocious animal, he would be a honey badger, because he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like it.
I love him for it. He just discloses. He's like, I've seen one when I was a kid. It sparked my curiosity, and ever since then, you know, I've been spending money he gave his own money to the UFO community. What was it, like $5 million or something like that? And he said, do whatever you want with it.
It was a lot. I want to say he might be part of ESETI somehow too, or he helped fund ESETI, the UFO ranch where they do the signals back and forth. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I want to say he just made donations to them and other companies and groups that are looking for extraterrestrial life. Right. I know he's made quite a few donations. I know that for sure.
And just to kind of touch on Skinwalker Ranch, because Skinwalker Ranch is one of those, I mean, weird ones. You talk about just a smorgasbord of just, I mean, from UFOs to aliens to poltergeists to cattle slaughters to weird incidents, people seeing dog faces on humans, just all kinds of stuff. If you guys don't know about Skinwalker Ranch, you guys are sleeping.
I mean, there's a whole series on it on the History Channel now, and it's actually a great one. The new owners of the ranch, they're obviously reinvestigating it, but they're doing it for the History Channel. I think it's made by the same people who do the Oak Island show, finding the gold on Oak Island or whatever. And so they're super investigating and they've already found they filmed a UFO that went by as a cow suddenly died, and it died from nothing. It literally just fell over and died. So a wall of UFO was flying over in a strange little black circle, and they proved it was moving 3,000 or some high rate of speed by the frames that it went by. They had insane waves that come from the sky, radio microwaves coming from the sky that they've sent balloons up to test it, and it's just so much mountains radiating up at nighttime, like just the strangest stuff you'd ever think you could see or hear.
The dire wolf that the rancher said that he saw there, that hasn't been living for almost 100 years or more or something like that. The portals that are opening up in the mountains and they can see there. They're finding like radioactive material that's there. And keep in mind, this stuff has been documented since when the Indians were there.
It's
since
real.
When the Native
it's
Americans
not speculation, that's for sure.
So there's definitely something going on there. And whatever it is malevolent, and it doesn't want them to be there. It's almost like toying with them. Well, at least it was. From what we know now, there hasn't been any activity that we know of, but for all we know, there could be something going on right now. We won't know until another 5 years or 10 years or whatever, until they disclose it.
If that.
If they even disclose it to us. But there's been quite a bit of stuff going on at Skinwalker Ranch, and it just is very funny to me how it's all intertwined with Robert Bigelow, who actually is a part of it's the
Bigelow Aerospace.
Bigelow Aerospace. Robert Bigelow actually has the government contract to actually go ahead and look for the UFOs with ATIP and Luis Elizondo. They said there was $22 million. That only went to ATIP. They said there was more money that actually went over to Skinwalker Ranch to investigate the actual ranch itself. There were other monies that actually went to other places to investigate UFOs. I mean, it's just a smorgasbord of different things that are all connected together. And if you're not paying attention to the names, if you're not paying attention to the locations, that stuff can easily, elude you, and you'll just be lost in the sauce and not really understanding that all of this stuff. You like that?
I like that. I like that.
Just in not understand what's going on here. But for them to actually go ahead and say, that they are, anytime the government actually says that, they're potentially metamaterial, there's potentially UFOs, that's their way of telling you there's UFOs, but I can't tell you there's UFOs. There's metamaterial, but I can't tell you that there's metamaterials. And it's almost like they're screaming. They want to tell you, but they're like, look, hey, we can't tell you. I'll get in trouble. I might die for all I know,
Yeah, it is pretty serious.
Yeah,
no, don't turn that on. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Like I said, I understand. Actually, I just had Chanel actually kind of come over to the side just a second ago, so I get it. But yeah, man, I mean, what else can we say? What can we say? What can we do? And this is not a question for Mike. This is not a question for the ufologists. This is not a question for the believers. This is a question for the non-believers, okay? This is a question for those people out there who will never believe. What do we have to do? What information do you need to finally say, hey, there might be something to this? Because contrary to popular belief, they're not going to actually pull up on the White House lawn. It's not going to happen. They don't need to.
No.
I mean, to us, we're probably ants, or to them, we're probably ants. Why would you go and sit down and have a meeting or a dinner with an ant?
Wouldn't make sense.
Why would you do that? This is probably an ant farm to them. Have you ever sat down and talked to an ant before? Hey, ant, what are you doing? I don't know. You don't do that.
Would you judge me if I said I did? No.
Probably.
He's like, you're getting kicked off the show right now.
No, it's
This
good.
This guy's out of his mind.
No, man. I mean, hey, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're beneath them, and rightfully
That's a perfect analogy. Perfect. You couldn't say it better.
We're beneath them, and I remember this is, and I completely forgot this until I just thought of it now. Do you remember when they supposedly had found or had caught a alien, and they said that they thought it was naked, but it had on a suit that was
the silk, not silk, but like I know exactly what you're talking about. I am familiar with it, but go ahead.
And basically it was like skin tight, but it was like heat resistant, it was radioactive material resistant, it was like none of it can get through it. You just couldn't get through it. And it was they said it was fabricated or made. It had to be made within the vacuum of space because just the way it was made, it couldn't have been done on Earth. And it's funny because no one talks about that, but that's the same thing that's going on with this metamaterial. They're saying it could not have been made on Earth. So now we have two instances where we have two objects, one supposedly coming from a dead alien that had some kind of skin tight suit on that's resistant to everything. God, our military would love to have something like that.
Yeah, that's body armor right there.
Right? That's a camel spider silk right there. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we're getting this metamaterial and they're saying that it's made in the vacuum of space there. So again, I'm one of those people where, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, then God damn it must be a duck. Don't tell me that I'm looking at a fish when I see webbed feet. Don't tell me. And there are some people out there that will fall for that, and it just irritates the hell out of me to no end, man. I don't know.
But that's why we're here.
Yes,
we gotta spread the gospel of the UFO.
Absolutely. And I just want to give shouts out to Jerry Barthel, Kimberly Jurek, Paula Greer, Jackie Francisco from Alien and UFO Evidence. We appreciate you. Karen Mung, Rachel Luis, Ruben, Emma Gomez. Hey, what's going on? Bianca Wihalu. I'm sorry. I know I butchered your name. I'm
we do that a lot on here. But,
I'm sorry.
But thank you.
Aaron Kisser, Claire Braunhorst. We appreciate you. By the way, got to give shouts out to, I already said Jackie Francisco. Pie Turtle? Am I P-A-I? Pie Turtle?
Yeah. If that is your name, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is dope, man. So, yeah, man. I mean, Mike, you got anything? I mean, I'm at a loss for words here, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's you said everything. You hit the nail on the head pretty good with everything. It all fits together from the Nimitz to possible disclosure to previous possible disclosure and everything to go with it. I mean, if you even do 10 years back worth of research, puzzle pieces will fit together for you.
What do you think Space Force is going to look like, man?
I don't know. I'm hoping it's like the TV show because the TV show's hilarious. But I obviously know it's a little more serious than that. But it could be anything. I imagine maybe our own personal, rather than the international space station. I imagine we'll get our own space stations. Of course, weaponized satellites and things like that. And it could be a lot of stuff. I mean, it's the militarization of space. So
absolutely.
Anything we have here in the military field, we'll get up there. So, I mean, bases, medic stations, things, well, I imagine those would be in the space station bases, but just all kinds of stuff, new rockets, everything. The more funding they get, the more we're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that trickle down effect that the Republicans always talk about. Hey, man, I mean, we've been going at this for an hour. I think we're just about spent. We're going to actually go ahead and wait for people to respond in the comments in regards to the Ufology Jeopardy game. The more people that respond, we'll get in contact with you. That way you can face off with the champion right here, right now, Michael Beavers.
I'm prepared.
And we can see if you guys beat. I really want to see if you guys can beat him. I really want to see if you can beat this man, okay? I'm not hating on you, Mike, but I think there's somebody out there that can beat you. Okay?
I'm not going to hint that there is, but there definitely is.
You got...
If they start beating me, I'm Googling answers.
hey, you cannot do that.
I'm just kidding. I'm on video, so I'll hold my hands up like this the whole time. Alexa! No.
Oh, dirty.
I'm just kidding.
Dirty.
I like the fair game. If somebody can beat me, it means I get to learn something because I didn't know enough to win.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you go. We're going to actually go ahead and log off here and try to switch over. But we're only going to do that if people actually respond and want to play the game here. I am Rodney Thomas, but I actually go by Say One History. You are speaking with
Michael Beavers of The Theory with Mike Beavers and UFOs over U.F.O on YouTube. So
you can catch us
at my stuff out there.
Absolutely. You can catch us at the American UFO Society. You can actually find us on Facebook on the Awaken page. You can find the Awaken page on YouTube. Check us out. We're all over the place. We appreciate you, lovely bastards, and we will talk to you later. Thank you so much, you guys, and join the Ufology Jeopardy game. Peace.
Peace.